Don't. Okay. No. They got everything.
He's only 25.
I will glaze them.
I guarantee.
Oh boy.
Not guarantee. I'm
too late.
fairly
Man.
certain.
Elston! What? No way!
Okay.
What just happened?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Gary's Basement Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything hockey. Today is our first in-person episode and our second episode of off-season deep dives, second part of the Atlantic Division. Today we have Montreal, Toronto, Tampa, and Ottawa. So we're going to get right into it with the Montreal Canadiens, off-season deep dive and season preview.
Well, let's just put this straight out. Montreal, I think they had a bit of a lucky season, to be honest, getting into the postseason because they were not ready for facing the Capitals. They had the one game that they did win, what was it, 6-2, I believe? It was 6-2 or 6-3. They played good in the one game, but lost in 5 to Capitals. They have depth, and I think they've got options to run, but there's still some holes that need to be filled, and obviously you got the negative $4 million cap space that you got to worry about coming towards the end of the year, kind of cleaning house on that. So does the Canadiens' cap space affect how they go about deadlining and stuff like that? I think it will. I think Montreal is really going to have that hanging over them for the majority of the year. They do still have some pretty good players. Brendan Gallagher's still with the Canadiens somehow. And even though he's not the same player he used to be, he's definitely still a key player for them. Obviously, they need the vets. Nick Suzuki, one of the best captains for a Canadian team, I guess. Let's just go with that. He's really good. I've watched his brother actually play a lot in the AHL. Also a very good player, but Nick Suzuki, watching him in the postseason, just a real good leader. And although he does not have much experience, he's definitely, him and Gallagher are two of the main guys that are really helping guide that team. I think the goalie situation is still a little shaky for Montreal, but Montembeault has some pretty good games. He can be really lights out when he wants to be. And yeah, Montreal's got a lot of options.
On that note, they also picked up Kakko Kakkonen as their backup, on a one-year deal. So I think that'll be a good backup. Played on the Wild, was a big piece on the Wild. As a Wild fan, I know that, so he can play hockey still.
Yeah, I think the key performance, obviously, Nick Suzuki leading the way. I think he's really stepped into a leadership role in Montreal, as you mentioned, and I think not only leading in the locker room, but also leading on the stat sheet with 30 goals, 59 assists, 89 points for leading the team. Cole Caulfield, I think, is also stepping into his role in Montreal, and I think has a lot of upside. Slafkovsky, probably, in my opinion, one of the weakest number one overall picks in recent memory, but he has started to reach kind of his... you start to see his potential. He had 18 goals, 33 assists, 51 points. If he's a top 6 role player in Montreal, I think you're pretty happy with the draft class he came out of. So I think that pick is starting to come to fruition a little bit. Lane Hudson, coming off a Calder win, he had 66 points in his rookie year as a defender. Very good numbers. But yeah, as I think other people already mentioned, I think having a clear number one is probably their biggest thing. I think that's going to be Montembeault, but I think he needs to step up and kind of make himself more of a clear number one caliber goaltender at the NHL level. But I think that's probably who they're going to have to go with, but I think he needs to be a little bit more consistent than last year in order for them to have type of season as last year or better.
What I think might be a key piece for their success next year was the pickup this summer of Noah Dobson. Been a great defender the past few years for the Islanders. I think he can really add to their core. Over the past few years, their truly defensive defensemen have been like David Savard. He's been consistent, and I think with the lack of goaltending, their defense needs to be strong. So I would like to see a little something, given that they're $4 million under the cap space. I don't know how much they can do, but I like to see them step up in that way.
I think due to the fact that they missed out on the Bowman Byron's sweepstakes, which kind of just dissolved, I think, Dobson is a big pickup because he was another one of those big players that was like, what team's going to get this? And whichever team gets this guy is going to be the winner of said deal. So I think they got him for a steal, too, to be honest. I think the Islanders really let him go for a little less than he's probably worth. So big move, smart move by Montreal, but again, that cap space.
Yeah, and just another thing to highlight, Ivan Demidov, I think he'll have a great year this upcoming year. Only played 2 games last year, a goal and assist, but their 5th overall pick in the 2024 draft, and I think he's going to play the whole year next year, and I think he's going to be a huge addition to that offense. I mean, this team's so young. They have a combination of some vets as well, and Gallagher's obviously. Love to see Laine there. Love to see him put up some points, especially this next year. Keep seeing him playing. I think they have a good balance of young core, but also they do have some vets, especially for that experience-wise. I think we saw the experience-wise kind of peter out in the playoffs, especially because I believe they could have beat the Capitals. It's just they weren't ready. I think their team was good enough. I just don't think they were ready for that task.
And Washington was a really good
team. Washington was really good. Yeah, it looks pretty good on paper. I think they just got to put it together.
I'd like to see Laine hit his second prime. Because I think he could do it.
Yeah.
I think he could do it. His big thing, his shot has never gone away. He has an incredible shot. And I think I want to see him, score more. Yeah. That would be nice.
Yeah, and I totally agree with what you guys are all saying. They look like a really good team on paper. I think they just need to figure out cap space, maybe get a couple more people here and there, but that's also a little down the road as well. But for this year, I think they're not looking too shabby. Sorry. But also another thing about that cap space we were talking earlier is they still got people like Carey Price on that, and they need to figure that out somehow because $4 million over is a lot of money. So.
Yeah, I think for this team, Montreal's very homegrown team. They very prospect-minded, building it from development-minded, and I think they've got a great coach, Marty St. Louis, for that. I think Demidov is going to have a great year. As a Blackhawks fan, that's who a lot of Blackhawks wanted to have paired with Bedard, and he slid all the way to 5. And then his first game in the NHL was against Chicago. Scored a first point in the NHL first game. So, watching that, I have no doubt. I wouldn't surprise me at all if Demidov turns out to be a better player than Slafkovsky, even though he was drafted 5th overall. And I don't know if it's a hot take to say this, but I think Demidov could win back-to-back Calder's and have Montreal win back-to-back Calder's. I think he is that caliber of a player and can be doing that already in his rookie season. Another major key, we talked about goaltending and different stuff. Health is a big thing. Kirby Dach didn't have a full season. Gooley didn't have a full season. So those guys, that's a good amount of points sitting there when you get them for 20 more games. So I think as a regular season standpoint, they can be a lot better because of those guys being in the lineup all year.
Playing to potential, I think, will be the big thing because their entire roster has so much potential. They just need to play to it. And I think that will be the key.
All right, so the next team that we are going to be talking about is Toronto Maple Leafs. A lot of intrigue, as always, with the Maple Leafs. Regular season, and then obviously going into the playoffs is where it gets really intriguing with the Maple Leafs. So big stuff happened this offseason. Leafs obviously coming off an Atlantic Division win and a playoffs where they made it past the first round.
Whoa.
So,
100 years.
Whoa.
So the biggest thing for Toronto, I'll be honest, it's like they had Dubas back as their GM. Nightmare of an offseason. Couldn't keep down Marner. Couldn't keep Marner. They gave him away to the Vegas Golden Knights, who basically get anything that they want. Sorry, might have a chip against them. They did keep Matthews, and they did keep Tavares. Matthews really wasn't going to go anywhere. I don't think he was. Was he? He wasn't on top of his deal. No. Okay, Tavares was. And Tavares has still got a couple of years left where he's going to be that kind of all-right player. I don't think he's got what he used to have, but he's still... I think he can still be something.
I think he could still be a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
I think he can step more into this. Obviously, he's not the same player Marner is. Marner's young. Marner skates fast. Every move is... He is sort of the more modern player, in a sense. Sort of more Connor McDavid era, where it's more speed, stick handling, shiftiness, and less physicality. But I think Tavares can bring every aspect of his game. Obviously, he's at the end of his career, but he is still a great player. He's still a great player to play alongside Matthews. On the power play. I don't know what the lines are going to look like next year. But either way.
I think that's the thing you look at here. Now you sign him for 4 more years. You have him until 2029. He's going to be 38 then. He still put up 74 points in 75 games last season. That's great numbers. 38 goals, 36 assists, and you're on a good team. They were great last year, so those people have to step up. But I think I see him still producing at least 2 years down the road, especially this next year. I think he'll be huge to this team still.
and I think another piece to the puzzle is William Nylander. 45 goals, 39 assists, 84 points. Matthews only played 67 games in the regular season, so had he played a full season, maybe have been up there in the points, but Nylander stepped up in that role, led this team, and I think it was one of the big reasons they finished first in the Atlantic. So I think it's big now this season, hopefully have Matthews the whole year, but William Nylander has really, I feel like, flown under the radar in Toronto. It's always talked about Matthews and Marner, and I think now Nylander will get a little bit more of that spotlight. Obviously in Toronto, when you get more spotlight, you also get more pressure on you, but I think Nylander will have a bigger role this year, and I think he's ready for it with the way he's been playing these last few years.
I think that he is a good person to... him and Marner the past few years have been pretty much in a similar role, but he is a player that has, I won't say the same, but he's a smooth skater. His stick handling ability is out of this world. He can produce in the way that Marner did. I just think he needs to step up. And after last season, Matthews still had a pretty good season, but he did not have the 60-goal campaign that he had the year before. And he has the ability to. You saw the fluctuation in goals. How many goals, I forget if he made to 30, that Ovechkin scored last year, and then he come back and he gets I think he had ended at 45. But that's a huge difference. They fluctuate from year to year, and obviously he's still young. He still has the potential to produce major numbers, and he is their future. They've been saying this for so long. He is their future. They just need to get to the point where they can use him, because they're not a playoff team.
I think the thing with Nylander, I think he can have... We can see how this pans out, but Marner leaving to Vegas and Nylander staying here, I think Nylander will have a better year than Marner in Vegas. I think Nylander can be the net. I think his skill can translate exactly like Marner. I think we just don't know about it.
It's almost that chip on his shoulder because Marner was there.
Yeah. And then also what I want to talk about is another up-and-coming Matthew Nyes. Proved himself. I think 2 years back, he really started showing up. Re-signed for 6 more years. Had 58 points in 78 games last year.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
That is a huge deal.
Me and Jeremiah have talked about this off camera. I think he can also be another piece because that first line with Marner, it was Marner, Matthews, and Nylander. So now you're losing Marner, but you keep Nyes, and I think Nyes can really, really step up. He's got loads of potential still. So.
Yeah.
And the thing about Nyes too is he was another one of those players too that was in the discussion. I know as a Penguins fan, we really wanted to get him. We needed a depth left winger to dump some of our cap space. Obviously didn't work out, and Toronto's going to use that to their advantage because he's a really good player, and I think he can really cultivate his talent with a little bit more space to move around in the roster now that Marner's gone.
He came up in the playoffs. That's
Yeah.
what I will say. He came up in the playoffs, so he's proved that he can play in the playoffs, even as this young player, inexperienced. He can do it. He is a great player. I think any team in the NHL would be happy to have him. So the Maple Leafs are definitely satisfied with that contract.
And me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, when you first heard about that Marner trade, you were like, Toronto is in a tough situation. I honestly, just off the top of my head, I was like, they're kind of screwed. But now looking at the depth of their lineup and who they've got behind them, I mean, just all the guys we were just talking about all have potential to do really good this next season. And I think they will.
Well,
So.
and the biggest trouble for Toronto is always the postseason. So they almost blew their lead against the Sens in the postseason, and then they proceeded to lose a two game lead, series lead to the eventual Stanley Cup winners in the Florida Panthers, because of many different things. Obviously, in the postseason, one mistake leads to another, and you are tanking. But obviously, the Leafs have a chip on their shoulder when it comes to the postseason.
Do they?
But they have the goalies. They have the goalies. Stolar's proved himself.
Yes.
He is number one now for for Toronto, and that is without a doubt.
But they do keep Wool around, which is a good signing.
Yeah.
Sign him back for
He's a
3
good-
years. He's a great goaltender as well.
But Stolarz was number one in regular season for save percentage last year. He was so good. I mean, you saw him on the Ducks a couple years ago, coming to the Panthers. Even as the backup of Bobrovsky, he played incredible when he played. And so, yeah.
I think that's a big topic of discussion because I think this past year for the whole year, Wall and Stolarz were nothing super special. I couldn't say that either one of them was blowing me away with the way they're playing. They are a very solid pair when paired together. I think both in their own right were not setting anyone apart by who was going to be that number one, who was going to take that step. Stolarz definitely proved himself that later in the year, and that's obviously in Toronto when you need to prove yourself the most, because that's when they need the players to step up because it's been the struggle these past years. So I think it'll be interesting to see how much of a rotation they play with them in the regular season. If they have a clear number one, or if they're kind of going back and forth pretty consistently. I think that'll be really interesting to see. With Toronto, as with teams like Edmonton and stuff, the offensive output's usually there until the playoffs. But the goaltending has seemed to be a bigger issue in the past for Toronto. Every time they have a good goaltender, something goes wrong. Before they can get it over that hump in the playoffs. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how this works out, continue going forward with these two goalies.
I mean, you got rid of a guy who was not... I mean, don't get me wrong here. Marner, such an amazing player. Historically not the greatest in the postseason.
Neither was any other team.
Well, yeah, but he just you would expect more from him, and I'm kind of happy because every year he sucked in the postseason, and the Bruins were playing them. So, yeah. But
Yeah, I think this whole offseason has been kind of slow for them. They've re-signed some people. Yeah, they lost Marner.
but also I believe it was a trade to get Matisse Maselli from the Mammoth. I think under the radar, great move. He only had 18 points in 55 games last year for the hockey club, now Mammoth. But I think he can step up. He's still young. On his last year of the contract, it'd be great to see him step up. I like the kid. I think that will be a good move. I think that'll be a under the radar move.
Toronto has a lot of people were nervous with Marner leaving. It's kind of crazy how quickly that happens, where people want him out as soon as when the playoffs are happening. But that is a big missing piece. But I think at the same time, a lot of people kind of overreact to that. Toronto's still going to be a very good hockey team this next year. Hockey is a team sport. You don't take one player out and drop to bottom of the Atlantic. I think some people are a little bit too nervous about that. Obviously, that's a big role to fill, but I think Toronto's still going to be a very good hockey team in this coming year.
Well, the Ottawa Senators, they surprised me. I think they surprised a lot of people. They got some really depth players, and unfortunately, they went the route of the Toronto Maple Leafs in the postseason. Linus Ullmark did not show up in the postseason. He was challenged in every aspect against the Maple Leafs, but was really good. He was what got them into the postseason. And I don't know if Tkachuk did as much as he could have in the postseason as well. You got guys like Dylan Cousins and guys like that they picked up. Stutzel showed his inexperience in the postseason. The amount of times he'd lose the puck in a position where he's taking it in himself, not passing it. The lack of maturity to pass the puck and try and make plays. I'm sorry, but he was always the guy crashing the Leafs defense and getting the puck stolen from him. Straight out of the gate, Ottawa was not going into the postseason as an experienced team. They had a couple of vets. Giroux was there, but it's Claude Giroux, and at this point...
Okay, yeah, says the Penguins fan.
At this point, he is still relevant, but he's not the same player he was prime Philadelphia Flyers.
Okay, I thought you were gonna dog on him.
you need to calm down,
okay, okay, I get that you love Sidney Crosby, but back off.
No, Claude Giroux, I think it's a really good thing that they were able to keep him, because I don't know what team was going to kind of get him. I know the Kings were looking at him quite a bit, and then the Kings found some other guys to go with. I think it's good that Giroux is sticking around for another year. I think it might be his last deal. I don't know. Yeah. I think it might be his last deal. I don't know if he's got anything left to warrant like a 2 or 3 year deal or anything like that. I think he's down to the 1 year margin. But Ottawa surprised me, and in a good way. They again, not very experienced, but they showed it in spurts is what got them in the postseason, and they just got to work on that. And yeah, try and see if they can cultivate what they've got, because they did have some good pickups. Obviously, they've kind of taken some good players from the Sabres as well, and I think Cousins is going to be suited for where he's at. The goaltender situation is probably going to be the biggest thing for them, which is it's the goaltender situation in the Atlantic is starved right now. A lot of these teams in the Atlantic do not have the goaltender they really want, I don't think. I think that goes around without saying. I think a lot of the goaltenders in the Atlantic are just either not what they used to be or performing a little less than their potential, I guess. Yeah. So
I think Claude Giroux, he's 37, had 50 points last season in 81 games. So that's great. I think he still had signed to do it 1 year. I think, like you said, that's where he for his career. I think no one's gonna sign him for longer than 1 year at this point. But
he's plateaued.
I think he can.
Brad Marchand got a 6-year deal. So you
No. That's don't. Okay. No. Because Claude Giroux, great player. I love him. But
he was defending him a second.
No. But he did plateau. But Marchand is still a high caliber player. So
Yeah, that's
Still
another.
rad.
That's
we're
another-
not gonna talk about this.
But yeah, 50 points in 81 games. I think he can keep that up again this season, and I think that'll be a big piece. Brady Tkachuk. Need I say more? You always want him to do good.
Yeah.
Now I'm rooting for
Okay,
him.
who at that
Matthew
table
Tkachuk is
doesn't
good.
like him? Who at
Matthew-
this table doesn't like Brady Tkachuk?
I don't like the Chuck brothers.
Honestly, that's kind of where I sit,
But
dude.
he's
All
only
right.
he's
I
only
like
yeah,
Ottawa,
no.
but
he's only 25.
They got talent. We'll leave it at that.
yeah. He's
They
only
got everything.
he's only
I
25.
will glaze them.
He's only 25, but I think you want to see him step up in 72 games, only 55 points, being one of the. He's still young, but more experienced, I would say.
Yep.
You need him to be a point per game player because you don't want that to be on Stützle.
Yeah.
That should be on you.
He has
That's the thing
he has
with
every
Stützle.
aspect of his game. I mean, I genuinely think that the Tkachuk brothers have done such a good job of bringing sort of like the older school hockey back in, because they come with not just talent, but they have so much physicality. They have a very well-rounded game, and that's what I really appreciate watching them. And I think Brady, obviously captain, the leader there,
Yeah, definitely.
needs to be a leader and needs to step up. I'm not saying he didn't have a great season last year, but
Well, that's the thing too. He did
Yeah.
not have much experience when he became captain, and he really came into the position. I think he really has positioned himself to lead that team, and I think it's a good place for him to be, because I don't know many other guys on that team that really deserve that C on their chest.
yeah. I mean, Giroux.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Giroux. Yeah, Giroux's got captain materially. He did it for 12 years.
Yeah.
But I think you also are looking at
Future.
future
Yeah.
because
Yeah, 'cause
Drew's not staying around. Tkachuk will. Tkachuk
Yeah.
will definitely will.
You were also just
Yeah.
talking about Stützle, and that's another thing about these big guys, Chuck, and all these other guys. They need the points because you cannot count on Tim Stützle. He's a good player, but he can be very hit or miss.
All right, Jeremiah. You haven't said anything yet on Ottawa. I'm getting this.
I think Stützle, at his age, is playing very well.
Yeah.
24, 55, 79 points.
Who are you comparing to Lucas Reichel?
The regular season was better than the postseason by far.
Yes, I think Stützle is very. I think, like we said, in the Atlantic, there is a lot of young talent that have very high ceiling. I feel like we talked about Buffalo, we talked about all these different teams. Then you have teams obviously on the older end like Florida and Toronto, but these teams, I feel like, are on the way up and have a lot of guys who can make improvements. Now you add Dylan Cousins into the mix.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's Josh Norris in that trade. I feel like that's kind of we'll see who ends up playing better in their new place. They got a small sample size this past year. That's an intriguing trade in my opinion, but I think it'll be a good fit in Ottawa, but I think the young guys will have a lot on their plate, and now with just a little sliver of experience in the playoffs, I think too, for people like Tkachuk, Four Nations Face-Off was an awesome experience.
Yeah. Yes.
I think you can almost count that as playoff experience with the intensity of those games. You get those high-intensity games kind of middle of the season. Obviously, there were some injuries and like people didn't like it for that reason, but like those guys were playing playoff intensity hockey, and I think the guys who got to play in that was a really, like, it's a privilege to play for your country, but also that's very good to add to your experience and resume to play with high caliber players against high caliber players in high intensity games, and that's what it comes down to in the playoffs. So I like where Ottawa is heading, but yeah, obviously the young guys just need to be able to control their emotions and play in higher intensity plays. That's the biggest thing that comes with experience, but you saw that in the Toronto series. They would go down a lot early on in the games and be out of it.
I mean, the
just
overtime.
because- yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of overtime in that series was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think looking right now is their window. They have Stützle on an 8-year contract. This is his 3rd year. Signed right after his entry-level contract. He wants to stay, clearly. Tkachuk on his 5th year out of 7.
I think this is their win now, right now. They need to shoot with these two because Tkachuk, I honestly think he could leave. Again, that's 2 years out. So they still have time. But I think I could see him leaving down the road.
If they don't get something.
They need to get success with this team, which on paper doesn't look as good, honestly, as they played last. Like, looking at their team right now, last year I wouldn't say they were making the playoffs. Like, but this team proved they can, and likes of Dylan Cousins, hopefully they can figure out the goalies. If they can figure out the goalies, I think they can.
And the biggest thing that they need to worry about in the postseason is staying out of the penalty box.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Riley Gregg helped them with that.
I do like Tkachuk, but I feel like he's kind of dragging the team with him a little bit on some of the hot-headedness.
Again, Riley Gregg and Shane Pinto were the two biggest guys in getting in the box. And yes, Tkachuk is a Tkachuk brother, so he's going to be in the box. But I don't know if he was dragging the team.
I feel like, especially in that
It's
first
the
round of the
family
playoffs,
tradition.
it is.
that first round of the playoffs, I watched a lot of those games against
Yes.
Toronto. Those were pretty fun games to watch.
Yes, they were.
Frustrating games at times, depending on who you were cheering for, because it was a lot of back and forth.
I watched every game of that series with the Toronto fans, so it was something.
Oh, wow. That's
But
miserable.
I was actually surprised at the discipline Tkachuk showed. I feel like those young guys were making some. There was some borderline calls in that series, but also a lot of just like stupid penalties, and I feel like it wasn't always Tkachuk.
Greg was in the box 3 times a game that series.
Yeah.
Like,
And
you gotta dial it back, and that's what they talked about after game 1, game 2, game 3. Every game they were talking about it, and it didn't change.
Yeah.
they lost their go down 2-0, and it's immediately just fight back, and not fight back in a skill wise. They were just looking for stuff. They were going out to try and like start something, and Toronto was just like, no, we're not dumb enough to do that.
Not until the last
Well,
2 games of the series.
exactly.
I mean, also they don't necessarily have anyone to do that.
Not
But, like,
anymore.
But
But that's beside the point. Again, bottom line, if Ottawa makes the postseason, and even if they don't, during the regular season, they got to be better on the penalty kill, and they got to stay out of the box.
Yeah, it seems like they're walking up to a chessboard to play a chess match, and then someone does a move that they don't like, and they just start throwing pieces at their opponent. I don't know how
Ottawa's
to put it, but that.
Ottawa's got problems, but at the same time, they've got a lot of things that are going right.
Yes.
and
And
they could be good.
I think from a regular, we're talking in a 2-week
Small
span.
sample size.
It's like the playoffs obviously are when it matters most, but I think in a regular season standpoint, this team has a lot of upside, a lot of promise. I think too with Ullmark, I think he's still a very high caliber goaltender. I think I don't think you have to be nervous with him at number 1 for most of the time. I don't think like the goaltending will be the major issue. I think they have a lot of guys coming to fill those middle 6 roles. Pinto I think will be a good spot there. Like they have lots of guys who know their role, and I think hopefully will start to understand how to play in their role more this year too. But I think they have a lot of guys that are good role players, and it's like, if you think of it that way, I think it's a pretty deep team. If you're not trying to rely too much on Stützle and Tkachuk and like try to even out the load a little bit more.
It's a team game, and a good majority of the Canadian teams, pretty much every one of them, if they're doing good, the fan base is there. Ottawa has a fan base. Like their run down the stretch to get them into the postseason was partially because of their fans. They were filling that stadium.
Ullmark is such a great goalie.
Yeah.
I will say that. As a Bruins fan, I loved him. I didn't want him to go. Obviously, you have the most entertaining goalie duo. I mean,
It was.
but
Not anymore.
he-
Stop going back.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. But I hate to put it like this, but he's kind of the reason that we lost against the Panthers that year. That one mistake that he made behind the net, playing the puck. That seemed like more the momentum shift for the rest of the series, and he didn't really show up as much last year in the playoffs either. So I'm wondering if that might be a concern.
Yeah.
again, I love him. I want him to do well.
Right.
But concern.
I think, yeah. Ullmark, not necessarily consistent at times, can be very inconsistent. But also, I was just looking at their roster and looking at their backup. Their backup, very small sample size. Levi Merlanian, 12 games played, yes. 199 goals against average and a 925 save percentage. He's 22 years old.
Are those in the AHL?
No, that's regular season NHL with the Ottawa Senators.
Why have I never heard of him?
Because he got 2 E's in his name, that's why.
Drafted way back in 2020 in the 3rd round, 71st pick. Only 22. Goalies, it takes a long time for them to develop. That's only 12 games, but he can keep developing. He's only 22. That could sort itself out.
I think this episode we've talked a lot about goaltending. And very intriguing team with goaltending is the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Good segue right there.
Yeah, get pretty good at this. So our last team in the Atlantic Division is Tampa Bay Lightning. Then we will do our final predictions for the division. But a lot of intrigue here in Tampa Bay. So yeah, Tampa made the playoffs last year. Got absolutely, I don't know how you want to put it, beat up by the Florida Panthers. Wasn't even really a series.
Wasn't close.
But you still have Kucherov putting up 120 plus points every season. But yeah, after their dynasty run, their cup runs, the last few years have been a little bit shaky. So I think very intriguing to see where they go this upcoming year.
Who loves Jake Getzel?
I mean, what happened to Tampa?
They were start with Jake Getzel right now, man.
Tampa was like
Tampa is going the way of the New York Rangers and the Boston Bruins. First round exits for 4 years in a row. Either this year or the year after, they're not making the playoffs. I'm saying it right now. It's happening. Sorry, Tampa fans. You've gotten a lot of good things for you guys down there in Tampa for quite some time. Vasilevsky's not the same goalie he is. You need to hear it.
Yeah.
You need to hear it.
The Tides.
He used to be, rather. He's not the same goalie he used to be.
You're not the Florida team now. I'm sorry.
You're not.
I think that's one thing.
Why is Florida so good at hockey?
Because they get all the Canadians.
No taxes.
No taxes.
No, I think a lot of their non-success was attributed to Andrei Vasilevsky. But he's still a good goaltender. Don't get it twisted. In 63 games, 218 goals against average and 921 save percentage as a starting goalie is good numbers. He's only
Vasilevsky will never not be good.
Yes.
But he's not the same goaltender he was.
And I don't necessarily think you can attribute that to him, though.
No.
I think that's
Their defensive core is way different.
Exactly.
How old is Vasilevsky?
30.
He's
30.
got how many years has he got left?
Oh, he's fine.
2 more years.
Two
after
more.
this year.
2 more years. He's
So 3 more years, I guess.
Tampa's again. They're not the same team they were. They're still capable, although last postseason, I don't know. I'm gonna go on a little rant here.
Of course.
Jake Getzel. What happened to him? So I'm gonna give you something that a lot of people say against Jake Getzel. I don't personally believe it, but a lot of people say wherever Jake Getzel plays, he's got 1 or 2 teammates that are always setting him up the most perfect he is. That's why he scores. That's why he is the way he is. He's got Kucherov. Kucherov is feeding him. That's why he scores. Although I will say he had a little bit of an underwhelming season points-wise this past year. Jake Getzel, again, the thing that everybody says, or a lot of people say, that is the negative for Jake Getzel, he's a moocher. He always has really good assist candidates, really good teammates. He's never really showed his full potential, even when he was with Pittsburgh, obviously non-existent when he was with the Hurricanes, but that was the Hurricanes' mistake.
Yeah.
The Hurricanes have made a lot of blunders. We don't need to go into that. We're going to get into them in a couple of weeks.
I do think he's a good player. And obviously, like you said, Kucherov.
Nobody talks about him.
Okay, Kucherov.
Exactly.
Nobody
is-
talks about him, but
I
he
didn't
is
hear
the
it.
most valid NHL player.
I
Yes,
didn't hear
in the league.
anything about him the whole. He
I
had 121 points
Yeah.
in 78 games.
he might be.
The reason nobody talked
would-
about him this year is because he's relatively the same age as Alexander Ovechkin, and we know what we were talking about last year.
Yeah,
But that's
He's not.
he's also Russian.
He's a different player. He's a different player than Ovechkin. I'll give you that, but not in a bad way. Not in a bad way in one sense.
No, I think
that
it-
stat line shows you.
I think it is
Yeah.
absolutely insane that Kucherov isn't showing any signs of slowing down.
no.
Yeah. Well, he already slowed.
And
down
I don't
in
see.
the All-Star game.
no.
I don't see him.
It's a good thing we nixed the All-Star game. Hopefully, we just leave it and never come back to it.
I don't see him having some crazy fall off.
No.
So I think you can still expect a boatload of points from Kucherov. But I'm also Tampa is getting older. Obviously, the guys you had, the cup-winning guys you had, are getting older. But you still got some younger guys coming up. Brandon Hagel had 90 points.
Another guy nobody
Okay,
talks
okay.
Brandon Hagel could be on the Blackhawks right now.
Another blunder on
Okay,
the trade front.
No. Okay.
Braden Point, Brandon Hagel,
No.
Jake Getzel,
That was
Anthony
the problem.
Sorelli, Oliver Bjorkstrand,
No, their problem was Stamkos.
Kucherov. Stamkos is another problem.
Okay, if we're talking about Getzel, how are we not talking about Stamkos?
I'm talking-
because
He's on Nashville now. It's
No.
not their problem.
It's not their problem.
The thing is,
I think they're
they
still paying
showed
some of his
no
stuff.
loyalty to him.
No, they
at
don't.
all, and they got Getzel, who did nothing.
Which is a
Like,
problem because
They
what-
lost their captain for what?
that's fair. That's
a
totally
point
fair.
per game player.
A point per game player
Who does nothing else?
What? That's
You
what
need
he's
to do-
there for.
Tampa Bay Lightning, their success is killing their loyalty to good players. I can see them losing some other good guys.
Yeah.
Brandon Hagel's been with Tampa for quite some time now. Nobody talks about him. And again, 90 points. What's going to happen to Brandon Hagel once his contract extension ends? Are Tampa going to just let him go for who knows what to try and chase the next wildfire? I mean, where is the loyalty for Tampa? Because, yeah, this whole Stamkos situation, a train wreck. And nobody talks about it. Tampa is going to need to answer for a lot of these stuff once they start missing the playoffs, because it's going to happen.
Okay, I feel like that is bad, and it's a bad comparison. But Jake Getzel is a point per game player. Stamkos this year had 53 points.
we don't-
No.
The Nashville Predators had a rough season, man. You gotta just
You
give them a break.
cannot put that just on him.
He's on a line with Forsberg and Marcia, so he should be putting up points.
Forsberg was injured half the year, though.
And Marcia so sucked this year.
All right, we are
can't
not to
explain
Nashville
it.
yet.
We're not
Just-
going
to Nashville.
All right, we're getting off track. Sorry.
No, but as I've been saying with a lot of the teams in the Atlantic, they're young, they're on the rise. I don't see Tampa
Tampa's
as
not.
either of those things. I don't see them regressing so much, but I don't see them being a team that's on the rise with a division that I feel like has a lot of teams on the rise.
Yeah.
So whether it's this year or next year, I think
A long walk off a short pier for
Tampa being out of the playoffs is something that we will see in the next few
And I
years.
feel like we're always, when we're talking about where we see them going,
Yeah.
we're always like, well, we can't put anybody on the bottom because we feel like everyone's going up. This is the one team that I can say, out of everybody,
What
is
do you
not.
They're not making the playoffs this year.
Whoa!
They're not making the playoffs.
That is not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. But I'm saying we keep ranking these people, and we're like, I feel like they're on the rise.
Are they crashing out?
I feel like Tampa's not on the rise, but I don't feel like
With
they're
that
on
segue,
the
we'll
decline.
go in reverse of the teams we did it. So we're gonna do Tampa first. Where do we see them finishing? Are they crashing out
Wild
in the
card.
first round? Are they doing a wild card? What are we doing?
I feel
Wild
like
card
I see
first
a
round
wild
exit.
card. I see. I see wild card. I'm not gonna say playoffs because we haven't done that for any other team. So I'm just gonna say wild card. I think they got it.
I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are finishing in the top 3.
Yes.
I am going to say it right now.
I was thinking about it, yeah.
Unfortunately for them, last year is going to stare them in the face the second they get into the postseason.
The thing is,
And they didn't change much.
I don't want to say this,
And they got $1 million cap space, so maybe they pick up somebody from, I don't know, Montreal or something.
Okay.
Either that or they stay quiet. But Tampa will finish in the top 3, but I don't know about playoff success. I really don't. I don't know.
The past few years, the top 3 teams have actually been a mix of 4 teams.
Yeah.
Like, interchangeably. Bruins, Panthers, Lightning, Leafs. They're the ones that have finished in the top 3 over the past few years. With the Bruins somewhat more out of the
Bruins
picture.
won't be there. We already talked about this.
The Lightning can step in. As sad as that makes me feel, Lightning might end up 3rd place.
What?
No.
I don't know, man. I think the Leafs will go below that. We're not getting the Leafs yet. Fair. 3rd place for Tampa, I can see that. They're going to be above the wild card.
All right, so I did say wild card, but now that I'm looking at these teams, I'm like, who's gonna go above them?
I think Ottawa.
Everyone in the Atlantic.
No, Boston.
No, I'm serious.
Buffalo, Detroit.
Okay,
I can't.
I
see
think
it happening.
Ottawa and Montreal both could surprise people and be better than the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Valid.
Okay,
I will agree with that.
I'll get Montreal. Montreal might be.
Okay. I think it's
Montreal.
the other way.
We've gone over the Atlantic, guys. What have we said about the Tampa Bay Lightning? They're falling off. What we've said about Buffalo, Detroit, Montreal, Ottawa, they're coming up. I guarantee,
Oh, boy.
not guarantee, I'm
Yeah, too late. man.
fairly
You said
certain
it.
Detroit will be in the playoffs. I think Buffalo will be in the playoffs. Those teams are going up, and they're stepping up a big step.
Okay, first off, Tampa lost to Buffalo and Detroit this year in the regular season. Did you know that?
I figured, but like,
Tampa lost to those teams that are on their way up. All right, we've talked about Tampa. We don't know where they're going to finish, but it ain't gonna be pretty for Tampa fans.
Middle
So
of the
buckle
Atlantic.
up.
No.
It's kind of the general
Yeah,
consensus.
middle
I
of
feel
the
like for most of these teams, that's
Toronto
kind of
Maple
what we
Leafs.
said.
Next.
If we're looking at these 4 teams that we've looked at today, besides, I would say Toronto. I think Toronto might end up higher.
I don't
But
We're not there yet. We're not to the other teams.
with Detroit and Buffalo, I think all of those are pretty much a toss-up to see where the
At least wild
where-
card, but I don't know
Yeah.
about a toss-up for the top 3. That's
Not
the
the top
problem
3.
with. I think Toronto is not a toss-up for the wild card.
I think Toronto is an easy top 3.
Toronto is winning the Atlantic again.
yes.
Toronto is winning the Atlantic.
The
in my
Panthers.
All right.
No, the Panthers are
The
both
Panthers are not a
season.
regular season team, bro.
I don't care. They have a better team than literally everyone.
Okay. I say
Taxes,
Toronto.
everybody.
I say Toronto winning the Atlantic.
Toronto win the Atlantic. All right, Tampa's the only reason they have. Tampa will say hovering around the bottom of the top 3. Probably not a wild card team.
4 to
because they'll
6.
break.
I say Tampa's missing the playoffs.
4 to 6 range. Oh, now you want to say
Okay, do you want to actually know where I have them?
I have him 6 or 7.
Okay, so Tampa
Okay.
is 4. Let's go 4 to 6. I like
above
that.
Boston.
Tampa 4 to 6 for the Atlantic. Toronto.
Number 1.
I'm actually gonna
No!
go. I'm actually gonna go with Jeremiah. But I'm gonna be a little bit more lenient. 1 to 3.
1 to 2.
1 to 3.
1 to 2.
Because the Panthers will probably be in the ballpark of 3 or 2. They're not going to be first.
Yeah.
We can settle on that now. I just don't see that happening. The Panthers are not a regular season team.
Who cares? They're going to become a
built.
dynasty.
They are built
already
for
are.
the
You're
postseason. They
believing
are a
them.
dynasty. They've been to the Stanley Cup the last 3 years. They lost once. They've won twice. But that's off topic. So Tampa is going to finish 4 to 6. They may miss the playoffs. I'm going to say that.
I think that's a reasonable.
I think that's about where we see them being.
I think that's a reasonable.
I don't know if they're going to crash out though, but the season that they had was fine. And then you got the postseason, which is like, whoa, hold on a second. And now Ottawa and Montreal, the more dark horses.
They're
I'd say.
staying exactly in the same place. Ottawa's staying at 4, Montreal's staying at 5. Maybe both of them are going to get leapfrogged by Buffalo. That's the only way I see it happening. They're both staying exactly in the same place. Both wild card teams.
Levi has a lot riding on Buffalo. I see Ottawa as being Buffalo a few years ahead of Buffalo.
Yeah,
fair.
I agree
Valid.
with that. I agree.
Valid.
So-
chill.
Buffalo has a young team.
Ottawa is a dark horse, but they're not at the same time. They can make the playoffs, and I don't think they're going to have to fight for it this year because they had to run on the final home stretch to get there. If they make the playoffs, though, that's the question.
But yeah,
Are they
I think
gonna do
Ottawa's
it?
going back to the playoffs.
You want to hear my whole
Montreal's
pretty
not.
confident
Montreal
we'll get
Canadiens are not going back to the playoffs this year. It was a one and done. Marty St. Louis is a great coach, but they had to claw their way in, and they had Ottawa standing in the way, and they had to fight Detroit. And I think Detroit's better this year.
Who's that?
So, to be perfectly honest, Montreal is a one and done. Now, hold on. They're not going to clean house. I think they can keep people,
You see,
relatively speaking, but I don't know. If they miss the playoffs, maybe they do a cap dump. They have the space. They don't have the space.
I
Sorry.
feel like there's
Negative.
multiple teams in this division that are kind of in a high pressure scenario that you miss the playoffs this year, it might be time to really shake up your roster.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of teams
We've been
that
saying that's the Buffalo Sabres like every year. So I think it's different for this year. But we talked about them already.
But yeah, are we gonna go through just the whole division?
let's go through the whole division.
Okay,
All right.
no
I'm
one
ready.
crash out.
I'm
too
ready.
much.
Alright.
Number one, obviously Toronto, 109 points is what I'm guessing.
I
109
agree.
points.
Bro, okay.
Toronto
you got it.
We're not doing points.
is
bro.
winning number one.
We're doing points.
Then
No.
Do not do points.
Can you
He's doing it. He's doing it. Let him
Toronto 1, Florida 2, Montreal 3, Buffalo 4,
Really?
Ottawa 5, Detroit 6, Tampa Bay 7, Boston 8.
I can see that happening with the Ottawa and Montreal split.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so what was? So yours is the same, just
Same, just Ottawa and Montreal flipped.
With how the season
hold on.
broke down towards the end of the season in the Atlantic, Toronto and Florida were fighting it out for the top spot, and then Florida dropped a couple of games. Toronto ran away with it. Tampa couldn't level it off and catch them. They were close. Toronto's first. Again, this whole Mitch Marner controversy is a little overhyped. Toronto is going to be fine in the regular season. Toronto first. The Panthers second. Tampa third.
Okay.
Ottawa and Montreal are going to be fighting it out for the wild card again. And I'm sorry, Detroit. I'm sorry, Detroit. I really am. I got a lot of friends who are Red Wings fans and are tired of the same thing. every year.
I want to see them do good.
You
but
are
I
going to
don't
be
think it's this
just
year.
outside the postseason again. I'm sorry. It's the Red Wings at this point.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Whoa. We got Red Wings fans who watch, guys. Chill. Red Wings are going to be just on the outside looking in. Unless maybe they go on... Okay. If Detroit is above 500 at the All-Star break, they may make the postseason. And it's not going to be close. And then, who do I got left? Oh yeah, and then the Sabres and the Bruins, because
In the exact same place.
Yep.
You see, the Buffalo disrespect
Hey, relax,
is absolutely insane. It's insane.
All right, Nathaniel.
Alright.
This ought to be good.
Don't say something stupid.
Panthers.
I knew it.
Oh, you said something stupid!
Toronto.
That is so, oh my goodness.
He's gonna,
Wait, I said Panthers. Tampa.
yeah, he's gonna follow it up.
Ottawa. Detroit.
Okay.
I can.
I don't-
Bruins, Buffalo.
Bruins, Buffalo. Okay.
Buffalo, bottom of the league.
Not a chance.
That's a wishful thinking, Bruins.
Okay.
It is. I can't put my own team at the bottom.
You should accept the
Okay,
fate.
okay.
I'm not going. I know they suck.
Bro, Gavin McKenna.
Just-
think
just-
Gavin McKenna. Think Gavin McKenna.
Just sell for Gavin McKenna. That's what you
McKenna.
gotta do.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. So I'm gonna rapid fire these off. Please don't hate me too much. Toronto first, Montreal second,
Whoa!
Ottawa third,
What?
Florida fourth, Buffalo fifth, Tampa sixth, Detroit seventh,
What is?
Boston eighth. All right.
Elston!
What?
No way!
Okay.
What just happened?
Let us know in the comments what you guys think, and if you agree with me, obviously.
I think he's wrong.
Thank you guys for watching the Atlantic Division.
We had a lot of...
Metropolitan's next.
Yes.
A lot of teams, fun teams to talk to. So subscribe, stick around.
We had a lot of fun today doing it all together in person. I think you guys are gonna have fun watching it.
We will see you guys next time.
See ya!
Yeah.